Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Long Bangers Thursday phone in. I'm Matty. We are a few days past from Hibs beating Livi 4-0. I got a row for calling Livi hapless on Facebook, but I thought they were hapless, so I'm standing by it. We could talk about the match. We also faced an even probably more hapless Aberdeen as well. They just finished up there. They got a 6-0 scudding off of AEK Athens, so we can talk about what's come up there. The young team won 4-0 last night, Easter Road, a smashing result in Europe there as well for them. So lots to kind of cover off tonight. Callum, I think you were the first one to dial in tonight, so you can start us off. What do you want to start with?
Well, the last time I was on the phone and asked for collegiate start and for us to score more than 2 goals in a game. So
Nice
if I could win the lottery next week, that'd be smashing. It was just so good to see us playing that way and like Clegie being unleashed. I think as good as he was, I think we kind of expected that from the build up he was given, the record fee and all that sort of stuff. So to see him play to that standard, having the few minutes that he's had was really good. Livi changed fucking more than half their team and couldn't improve. We were that good. So it was really good to see, especially going into 2 massive games on Sunday and Wednesday.
What did you make of Clegie then? What stood out about his performance for you?
Just how sharp he was and reactive, and he's similar to Boyle in terms of pace, but he plays very differently. He's got more of a kind of powerful kind of aspect to his game, and he was so quick to react to the wee kind of flick-ons and kind of miscued clearances and stuff. And for the boy, I know he's played for Hearts, but Wilson is a good defender, and he got subbed at half-time. I know Martindale made the excuse that he'd had a painkiller injection, but he just couldn't handle Clegie at all. It was very similar, obviously, in the cup game as well. But he's just so powerful. He'll turn on the left or right shoulder, and bar a couple of yards, he could have had 2 or 3 goals.
Mm-hmm. Joe, you'd been champion Clegie coming in as well. What did you think of his performance?
It was outstanding, wasn't it? It was just terrific. And I'll give you a hard statistic. He started 3 games and he scored in all 3 games, because although in the game against St Mirren, Rocky got the credit of it, it was his goal. It was going in. Rocky just helped it over the line. It was already going in. So, I mean, yeah, but it's great to see, because let's be honest, Martin Ball's been off pace or off whatever for quite a while now. And I think Kieran Bowie is benefiting with having Clegie beside him. He's not quite so much the target man that Hibs have been using him for. But, I mean, the whole team played great. I mean, I think I'm going to blaspheme here. I think Hibs should take a leaf out of Hearts' book. Hearts have started the same team the last 4 games. I think Hibs should just stick with the same team, with the only possible thing of maybe bringing Chegwa, whatever his name is, instead of the lone player.
Chaiwa instead of Barlasser.
Barlasser, that's it. Yeah. We don't want lone players playing. Let's get, we've paid money for these players. Let's get them in. And Chaiwa looked great in the games that he's been on. So if he's fully fit, that's the only change I would make, though, to be honest with you. And then let's give the team a chance, a bit of consistency, because there's been a lot of chop and change, and I appreciate some of that's been because of injuries and things. But if at all possible, that's the only change I would make. I would put him in instead, and then if McGrath's not fit, because there's some doubt about him, then I'd bring Dylan Levitt in. But other than that, that's the only change I would make. And let's give them a run of a few games. We've got these big games coming up, but Rangers got humped tonight as well. Mm-hmm. Aberdeen got humped. We've got them on Sunday. Rangers got humped. We've got them at Easter Road next Wednesday. Come on, Hibs. Now's a chance to really get our season going.
That would be a good time to do it. Jeff, where would you stand on keeping a sort of consistent starting 11? Do you think that the team did enough on Saturday to retain their places?
Yeah, they did enough, yeah. Don't change the winning team unless there's a particular danger man that Aberdeen have got that you think somebody else might handle better than the current 11 who are wearing the jersey. But yeah, definitely keep the same. I can see what Joe's saying. I think once things settle down and he gets his chance, I think Chaiwa will be a regular. He'll be a starter.
Yeah.
He just looks ready-made for this league. Whose place he takes in that midfield depends how Gray plays him, whether it's Barlasser or maybe McGrath if he's not fit. We'll see. But no, keep the same team there. No duds. Some outstanding performances. Mulligan, Cleege, you name it. Yeah, they're very good.
Can I also say Mulligan in central midfield, not
Yes.
wide right?
Yeah. Jay Star on YouTube says he thought Nicky done well defence-wise against Livi. John, Nicky Cadden's performance probably went under the radar because I think maybe we were expecting a bit more from an attacking sense, but his defensive performance has been called out there positively by Jay Star on YouTube. What did you think of Nicky in defence?
I think he played what was up against him as well as he could. I think that there's that balance that I think we've got to get in the whole performance. I think you're right. I think Livingston were pretty hapless. I think they're trying to take a game that they had in the Championship last year and bring it to the Premiership with players that are not good enough to play passing football in this league. And I think by Christmas, he will be back to land of the Giants because he'll just need to do it because they'll go down. But no, I think the whole team, I mean, Nicky Cadden, we were questioning his defensive side, but I think that the whole team in the one-to-one battles and pressing down in zones and winning the ball back, going through the lines, playing out for the keeper. It's difficult to find something in the game, if we're brutally honest about it, to really moan about.
Aye.
I mean, and that's the difficulty. I think the point's fair, but it's fair when we say that actually we brought the performance we should have against the Livingston team that we were far better than. And every player on the pitch looked as if they'd earned a corn for being there.
That's a really good way to put it. Mr. Rab said, "Evening, guys. What a weekend. It was like watching the team that got a massive unbeaten streak last season." And Jack says, hello, everyone. Were we closer, John, you think, to the team that finished last season on Saturday?
I think that we've seen it coming, and I think we've talked about it at different times over the past few weeks. As the defence has solidified, as the goalies moved into position, I mean, there's just those little bits of the team that are coming together. David Gray, I think in his interview today, was talking about the sort of past couple of weeks, a chance to get players, I mean, who haven't been involved in there. He's got his squad on the pitch, their ideas, the break was a reset. I mean, so I think lots of the things that have been chatted about came together in that game. But I think that the difference that Cleege gave us up top, I think the thing about his game that I would pick out was his ability to find another Hibs player when he was in trouble in a bad position. I mean, he didn't just decide that he had to run at goal at every opportunity, try and beat the whole team to score. He would run, he would pick up the ball, he'd be sitting at the edge of the area, there'd be nothing on, he'd look up and he'd find somebody sitting in centre mid. I mean, his ball across the box to Nicky Cadden in the first half was superb. I mean, forwards aren't meant to be able to pick out those sort of Scott Allen type passes. But he was part of the whole. I mean, the comment earlier about that, then him, if you look at the number of runs where you've got the volley from Bowie, I mean, Cleege goes in and as a short player is putting a tall centre half under pressure for a header. I mean, and Bowie's there to pick up the scraps. But at that time, one's in front, one's behind. They're looking for scraps off each other. There's all those little things that the players seem to be picking up. So, yeah, loved it. 4-0. Would have liked more. Booed the referee like everybody in Cheer Toilet when he got his fake hat trick with the goal that was chopped off. But no, we couldn't ask for any more.
Callum, the squad looked stronger as well. I mean, I think probably for the first time we had like the real good options off the bench as well. That's got to be a good thing for the season coming up, isn't it?
Definitely. We spoke before about kind of finding the balance and getting the players to kind of fit into the right spaces. I did notice, like in the warm-up before the game, that they were doing a drill and they were very much focused on the four. So it was like Barlasser, Mulligan and the two Caddens, whereas McGrath wasn't really involved in that. So there's that kind of solid sort of four in the middle. McGrath obviously playing the 10. So it's good to have. I don't know if you hear that ramming in the background.
Oh, you're all right.
So it's definitely good to see that. I think now, hopefully, he goes forward with that kind of 3-4-1-2. I quite like that. There's been a bit of chopping and changing for the start of the season, but you've seen, it's already mentioned, when Chaiwa came on, you see exactly what he brings. I think maybe the difference with the likes of him and Barlasser is Barlasser's maybe a bit more disciplined and he'll sit that bit further back, whereas Chaiwa likes to be involved everywhere in the park, and there'll be certain games that work and other games it doesn't. But I think now I think we're still short of a striker, don't get me wrong, but I think we're definitely in a good place going forward, and we're picking up a bit of momentum now. Rocky's lost his place through no fault of his own, so I don't think that's maybe going to have a kind of negative impact on him necessarily. But Hanley's came in and shown what he's all about. Again, like O'Hora, John mentioned you can only kind of go up against the teams, the players that the opposition have got, but O'Hora defensively was sound on the ball. A game was excellent, and Iredale seems to be coming back onto the game as well. So, it does feel like we're in a good place. But it's as I say, with the away game on Sunday and then the game on Wednesday, it's a real kind of test. And if we get through them with, I'd say, at least 4 points, then we're looking good.
You mentioned Hanley there, Callum. He was up against, I can't remember his name, the big number 9 for Livi. He was a big lad, but Hanley kind of had him pocketed quite early on.
I just think the experience that he's got, he knows when to challenge the 50-50s, he knows when to kind of back off. And I think one thing that was mentioned, I don't know if I've seen it written elsewhere, but we seem to win every second ball. If we didn't win the first ball, we were on to the second, and that's where we saw Mulligan excel. There was a point in the second half where we picked up the ball in our 18-yard box. Next thing, Mulligan drives up and he's crossing it in for the byline. And even seen they put in the Patreon about, in the last 3 games, there've been something like 47 crosses from. Can you hear me, Matt? Is it cut off?
I can hear you. Yeah, you froze just for a split second, but you're back.
There was something like 47 crosses for the left and only like 8 or 9 for the right over the 3 games. But what a difference Cadden just getting by his man and putting a ball. You can see the difference that makes. And what I will say is there was no danger he was setting Junior up for that second goal. That was a pass to his brother. And if you watch it in the replay, Nicky Cadden, when Hoylett goes to hit it, you see Cadden hold his hands up there to say, "What you doing?" If you watch it, I think it's on Lewis Forfur's highlights. He's got his eyes on Nicky. But I'm just taking a bit of fun with that. But no, we're definitely in a much better place given what we were talking about only a couple of weeks ago.
Joe Pod on YouTube comments says no more 4-4-2 then, Joe. Are you happy if they ditch the 4-4-2 if this team stays sort of consistent?
Yeah, what's the old saying? If it ain't broke, don't try and fix it. It worked so well. Yes, there was an element of me trying to get Rocky in the team, but as I said at the start, let's just keep a winning team, other than maybe bringing in Chegwa.
What about O'Hora? Well, the right hand side, he was one that had a bit of a question mark over him, but he's been pretty solid for weeks now, Joe, hasn't he? He's been one of our better performances.
He's arguably been one of our best players all season. If you look at the performances, even when the team's been playing poorly, he's had a steady game just about every game, Matty. He's definitely well worth his place. But he's more comfortable in the back 3 than he would be in the back 4. So another reason to keep Rocky out of the team, I'm afraid.
Aye. Celtic are 1 down. Apparently that's for Green Tea. Thanks. Green Tea keeps updated on when it's going to be a great night for the Scottish teams in Europe. It's just a pity that cup place went to Aberdeen, and we could have been flying the flag instead. Jeff, how damaging do you think that result will be for Aberdeen when we face them on Sunday? Do you think that goes in our favour?
I don't think it does us any harm. If we score first and score early on Sunday, then it could be any score, depending on their reaction. It might chew them up, or we could stick 2 or 3 past them easy. They're not. Their confidence is fragile anyway. They've had those 2 wins. Beat Dundee at home. The win against St Mirren was lucky. Last minute wonder goal. Guy set off. Gogic's goals chopped off. So what's probably more important is the travelling and the lack of prep they'll have for our game, coupled with any confidence that's been kicked out of them tonight. Because it could have a massive bearing, but we won't know. We've got to turn up and play though, and pose our game on them, and not give them a chance to get some confidence back, if you like.
John, you get your hand up and you come.
No, I think Jeff's got it spot on there, but I think that bit is about what we do. I think having watched the little I saw of the Aberdeen game, one of the goals they've given up is when the goalie's given hospital passes to defenders where they're trying to overplay it at the back. Our press was really good with two forwards and a midfielder. I mean, at the weekend, I think that's going to be equally important. I don't think that Aberdeen are going to suddenly become a launch it down the park team. I think they're at home. I think they'll be under pressure to play. And I think that's what we've got to do. We've got to be on the front foot in terms of our game. I can't remember, was it, trying to think, it was Callum the other week had said, playing with a handbrake on. The handbrake can't be on in the next two games.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be in your face. Play. It's not going to be 11 players chasing the ball. It's going to be play your shape, challenge people at the back, know when you're going to trigger, and put pressure on defenders and when they're trying to do spaces. Because whilst Aberdeen don't have it, Rangers won't have it either. But Sunday's the important game. Be in their faces, be in their half of the pitch, make them make mistakes. And we've been there when Hibs aren't playing well, and we know how quickly Easter Road turns. Every support is the same. Aberdeen have as entitled a support as anybody in Scotland. I mean, and if they are getting beat 6-0 in Europe, having won very few games over the past 6 months other than a cup final, and suddenly they're going down to Hibs, I mean, at home, it'll turn.
John, Jeff mentioned the importance of an early goal against Aberdeen. We saw the benefit of that against Livingston. I think I can't remember where I saw it, but there was a stat about the number of goals that have been scored early in Scotland this season. It's like, I think that might be in the first one. It was in like the first 10, 15 minutes. Most of the goals kind of come in later, but it totally knocks the stuffing out of the team when you get an early goal. So if we can start it quickly, that's huge, isn't it?
It does two things. It tells our players that what they're doing is right and boosts the confidence, and it puts a doubt in their head, and it makes they're suddenly starting to think that they're changing their game plan, that they've got to get back into the game, that something's going wrong. So no, it's attitude in the first half hour is. If we don't get a goal in the first half hour, I'm not overly disappointed, but I want attitude application. I want Aberdeen to be under pressure. We'll stay tight at the back because that's how the defence is going. But no, we need to be there giving ourselves the chance. And we don't change the top two.
Yeah. Callum, when you come.
The last time you were up there, obviously, we lost to that Nisbet fluke. But I think what we have to show this time is that intent that we want to go and win the game. Whether that means an early goal or not, we just need to show more intent. We were fairly comfortable in that game without ever threatening. I think that's the difference this time, is we have to go up there and make them nervous and put them under pressure, because they will, as much as they've been shite, like they do have kind of good players. We saw like the winner scored against St Mirren at the weekend. That was a bit of class from an individual player, so that could very well happen to us. So as long as we show that intent, I think we'll be all right.
We talk about the intent, and then the comment about also playing with a handbrake off. We obviously lost our unbeaten start to the season at Tynecastle, and we had that big long unbeaten run last season. And I always think there's sometimes these things start to play on the players' minds. Start focusing more on not getting beat than on winning. Do you think that's kind of worked in our favour, Callum? We kind of like a sort of, was it the silver lining on the clouds? Obviously, they want to lose a game. But now we have lost one. We didn't have to think about protecting our run. It's about starting a new one.
I think so, yeah. Because there is going to be an expectation that we might not match 17 games, but we could maybe do 10, 11, 12 or something, because we do have a very similar squad to last season. We signed guys like Rocky and Junior again, who have been there and done it. The manager obviously was the man responsible for that. So it might take some of the pressure off, but I think what's a new pressure this season is the fact that the Ugly Sisters are struggling as much as they are. I noticed tonight that Ian Archer went off after 4 minutes with an injury, so that's even more pressure on them, especially when they're going to fucking Castle Grayskull on Sunday. So there's a different kind of pressure, and it's going to take for somebody like us to actually put a few wins together, because we could realistically challenge for the top two, and I don't think that's a ridiculous thing to say the way things are going at the moment.
Joe?
Yeah, I would argue that the team that we've now got is arguably a better team than the one that had the 17-game unbeaten run. If you look at who we've brought in, the spine of the team: goalkeeper, Hanley at centre half, Mulligan and McGrath in the middle, and Klidgey up front, that whole spine of the team, I'd say, is better than what they've replaced. And so I really think Hibs can go. Now that we've got it going and they've tweaked a couple of things, I'm quite excited, actually.
Yeah. Is there a case, Joe, for sort of bearing in mind the standard of the team that we beat on Saturday, just to keep our feet on the ground a wee bit? Because Livi, I mean, we kind of joked about it, the sports scene having a laugh about them being hard to beat. I think McFarren said Livingston a hard team to beat, and Stephen Thompson says they're not really, and pointed out that they lost like the last however many games. Well, we obviously looked good against them, but how good a barometer is that? I guess that's the question. How good a barometer is a game against Livingston?
I think we'll find out in the next two games, because Aberdeen have been crap most of the season, witness the hammering tonight, and Rangers have been crap all season, witness their hammering tonight. So although they were both Aberdeen and Rangers were away, I think they're there for the taking. And then if Hibs beat Aberdeen and Rangers, and then I think our next game's Livingston again, we could be on a roll.
How important are these next sort of three fixtures for sort of building that momentum for the season ahead?
Yeah, it'd be nice to get the ball rolling. I mean, we started late last season with the momentum, so there's still time. But if by some, it's not an impossibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if we can beat Aberdeen and Rangers and take care of Livingston on their own, then that's a huge boost for the confidence, for the fans' belief in the team that we can, carry on and maybe do a repeat of last season. It's going to be very difficult. And somebody mentioned about, the inform. Both of them are looking pretty shaky at the moment. This is the chance to maybe split them or do something better. And we need to, if we're going to do that and have the belief that we can do that, then the next three games are very important. Especially, I think, the game against Rangers at home. That's always a marker. If we can beat them, that's fantastic.
The team got a bit of criticism for the last game at Ibrox. We've played within ourselves a wee bit, or weren't quite as aggressive as we could have been. Yeah. Would you expect that to be different for the home tie?
I think we'll play a little bit different to what we did at Ibrox. As we discussed on the show after the Ibrox game, the stats from the 2-0 win for us and their 2-0 win were not particularly different. It was a handball difference, and two midfielders not doing their job. One from a corner and McGrath letting the other guy run off him. The game last year could have finished differently if with a different outcome. Anyway, so I think the Rangers have got good players. There's no doubt about it. They've got good players, but they've got a few loans. It's another manager's players that this guy Daniel Leroux's playing with, and trying to get a tune out of them. And do they really want to be there? Under a new manager, all the stuff. We can really turn them over on Wednesday, but they have got good players. One of them could just turn it on the night, score a wonder goal. You're up against it.
John, how are you feeling about the fixtures coming up? What do you think we could do?
Well, there's a bit of excitement because it's not beyond possibility that we're setting 20 points quite soon. But to do that, we've got to play. We've got to carry a little bit of luck in the games, and we've got to believe in ourselves. I mean, it's not guaranteed. We don't have sort of that old firm entitlement to sort of do stuff. But there was a time. I mean, there was an Aberdeen team in the mid-80s that you would hate to go to Pittodrie to play. I mean, and there's been times over the decades where Pittodrie is just a place we didn't want to go anywhere near because we couldn't win there. Our recent record up there is quite good. So we go there without entitlement, but there's an expectation that actually team travelling back from Europe, we've had the week off, a bit of focus, a few more faces coming back into training. I mean, expecting there to be a bit of a buzz about the team, that they go in with a level of confidence. And Wednesday night, under the lights, Rangers allocation cut in half. I mean, in terms of the stand, we've got to sort of be confident there. The one you would probably worry about is can we go back to Livingston next week and not do the 1-2 and then trip up? But actually, I'd love to be in the position of saying yeah, we've picked up 6 points. I mean, now make sure you can do the easy stuff.
Well, we saw last season, didn't we? That we had a couple of runs of fixtures that we kind of expected to drop points, and then kind of came away with full points from it, like Dundee United, Celtic, Hearts. I think that was one run of 3, if I remember right, that we
I think
picked up
there's an
full
importance
points.
in the league just to try and create that separation.
Mm.
I mean, we're wanting to become a team where teams think they've got less of a chance against us. I mean, we still want players. I don't think any team will become so passive that they're doing 5-4-1s to start with, and we never see them out their own half against us, because we see that plenty enough. But I think we want them not to think that they've always got a chance. The 5 minutes before half time was a big factor the weekend. Never looked like losing a goal. I mean, although everybody was watching their watch and looking at the screens to see how many minutes extra time have been played because we're in that dodgy period. But we got through that and never looked in any trouble. So you build on those things and you just forget managers saying, oh, we know they're weak at half time. You're not, it's just coincidence. And so that to me is the important bit about the next week and possibly now up to Christmas, because we know that it's a mad run of games between now and Christmas. There's a lot of teams playing in Europe, and we just have to sort of cement ourselves into a top 4 position, move away from what will be the bottom 4 teams in the league. I mean, and just try and give ourselves that breathing space to have unlucky results. I mean, because you're not going to go through a whole season playing brilliant in every game and winning every one, because there'll be games where it doesn't go for you.
And we go like the interesting thing about going in the next 2 games against Aberdeen and Rangers is that they both are below us in the league at the moment, and we're almost like that first round of fixtures, isn't it? Who we still to play? Aberdeen and Motherwell, was it? Is there anybody else we still to play?
I think Rangers is the last one.
Oh, okay, of course, yeah, because Rangers was in the cup, wasn't it? So we've had a sense of how we can how we are against the rest of the teams. We're sitting third. Is that about right, John? Do you feel think that's where we should be?
I'm disappointed to not take a point away for Tynecastle and disappointed with points dropped to Falkirk and to Kilmarnock. Would be the ones. That's 5 points off where I think we should be. I mean, and if we're there, then that's us kicking the heels of Celtic.
Well, you, Joe, how do you feel about it, Joe? Do you think that's about right for us?
I think if we can win the next 4 games and they're all winnable, including St Mirren away, we could be really on a roll before the international break. And I'll just go off on a wee tangent here. If our key players hit form, we could have the spine of the Scotland team. Think about it. Hanley at centre half, Mulligan's in the squad now, central midfield, and of course Kieran Barry. Could happen.
Could do.
Yeah.
I think Mulligan's got the toughest job, getting into the midfield and shifting McDominay and Gilmore and all the rest of it. But he's there. He's in the squad at least.
He's in the squad at least, and if he's in the squad that he announces for the 2 games next month, who knows what might happen? Because he's definitely one for the future. I mean, as long as they play him in central midfield and not out in the right, as I said earlier. I think the best is yet to come from that young man.
Yeah, maybe worth spending a couple of minutes talking about Mulligan, because he moved to the right back or right wing back position, kind of when Cadden was in great form, but didn't really work out for him. So, what is it about his midfield play that you like, Joe?
It suddenly made the team come alive. Now I know Livingston are the worst team in the league, but I mean, nevertheless, he's shown glimpses of that. And if he gets a run in central midfield now, I think he'll really blossom and shine. I think he's a really exciting prospect for the Hibs. Last season I beat the drum for Dylan Levitt. Well, guess what? He's our man now, Mulligan in central midfield for sure.
And nothing if no fickle Joe, eh?
Well, I mean, things move on. I mean,
I will joke.
It seems very strange that Levitt's not signed an extended contract. He'll be out of contract at the end of December. Able to sign for another team. I just found it a bit strange that they didn't extend, because quite a few other players got their contracts extended. So goodness knows.
I wonder what's happening there. Callum, what about you and Mulligan? Do you agree that midfield is his best position?
100%. I spoke after one of the European games, and I kind of said that I think he's my new favourite player because, as Joe mentioned, he's the type of player that'll grab the game to the scuff of the neck and he'll just go on like a 60-yard run and drive you up the field. I think the home tie against Midtjylland, we weren't great, but he was constantly trying, constantly driving, and he had a couple of runs. I can't remember if it was maybe the Warsaw game where he was just kind of running through players and just like kept possession of the ball and stuff, so you can see what he's capable of. And I had a kind of a conversation with one of the guys for the Hibs Observer, and they were talking about how we can start central and move it wide. And I thought that you're asking a lot of a player to play central midfield and then play right wing back. But if we can get him settled in a side, but again, we've got this kind of such a high number of central midfielders and not so much cover on the right hand side because he doesn't seem to be playing Megwa at the moment. But he's definitely capable of like I really like a good kind of old fashioned grab the game with the scuff of the neck and do something in early in the second half against Livingston. He did that, as I say, drove for our half, hit the byline, crossed it, and I don't know if it was maybe the build up to potentially the penalty actually, but he kind of shows what he's all about, and I do like that. And at times it doesn't come off and it doesn't look great. But and then obviously you mentioned Levitt there as well. He came on, and if you watch his pass between the two Livi players before Chaiwa then plays it into Hoylett, like you see exactly what he gives you, but then to lack that defensively for his side, and that's what Mar Lazar gives you. So it's like it's one of those things where it's not going to be easy to manage this team like going forward, especially if we can all start hitting form and keeping folk happy, and then obviously Levitt's got the uncertainty like what's happening come January and stuff. So. It's I wouldn't want to be David Gray, I'll tell you that.
Aye. Jeff, Mulligan has had, and not that we want to put pressure on him or anything, but he has had some comparisons to a certain John McGinn.
Yeah.
But what's Mulligan's ceiling, do you think? Do you think he could reach the heights that McGinn has?
He's got potential. If he keeps exponentially improving as he's doing at the moment. I didn't see a lot of him at Dundee, but I was impressed in a few of the games that I did see, especially the 4-1 game against us, where he was unplayable. He was actually playing the right-hand side. He was right wing back, all right, but he just, we couldn't cope with him. I don't know if it's fair comparing him to Super John. He's just like, John got us up the park as well, very similar to him, but he's just a slightly different kind of player. But Mulligan's fantastic. He does, when he gets the ball and he's driving, it causes panic in the other team because if the first midfielder misses the tackle or doesn't get a grip of him, he's on the defence. You know, that's where you got your Chaiwa, your Bowie, McGrath, splitting up, making the space for the passes. So I'm really excited about him, but don't want to put too much pressure on him. But he seems to have a really level head. That's what I like about him. Nothing phases him. Just gets on with it.
I like him a lot, Mulligan. I think the difference between him and McGinn is we maybe didn't get it McGinn's first season, but certainly by the time McGinn had left us and was like sort of carrying the team, was McGinn would be like, and we said this about Levitt before, McGinn was always determined to be like the key player. Like he made things happen. Like he would go and seek out the ball, and like he was at the centre of everything that we did. I don't think Mulligan's quite there yet, but it's season number 1 in a Hibs shirt for him. And I think as he gets more confident at this level, you'll see more of that from him. And I think we'll see, as soon as he starts impacting games, as the main man, I think he'll go far.
And he's playing in a new team with 1 or 2 new players who have also joined him. But I think him and Chaiwa together, and they were together for the second half against Legia. That's going to be some combination, whoever the third one is. And we're on about, how does Gray fit them all in? If the team's winning, it's very easy to keep the players who aren't playing happy in that, right, who you're going to replace in this winning team. It's when the team's not doing so well, players aren't getting a game, there will be knocks on the manager's door, I'm pretty sure, no matter how tight-knit the group are. And we've also got Joe Newell and Manny Alassania to come back. Good luck. I'm not even going to try and predict what happens here, but your club captain Newell, I'd like to see him back on the pitch, but I'm not sure where he fits in.
Aye. Green Tea said agree about Mulligan, Joe. And John, I'll get this one to you. J Star said keep Mulligan in midfield and go in January for Adams at Falkirk for competition for Chris Cadden. he needs the competition to be consistent. So Cadden probably had his best game of the season on. So in fact, Cadden was really good at Tynecastle as well. To be fair, he gets missed, I think, because of the goal we conceded and the fact that we lost the game. But I thought Cadden's performances late have kind of got back to what we're used to from him.
There's shades of the Chris Cadden of 2 years ago, I would say.
John, I don't know how good your knowledge of the Falkirk players are, but would you like to see us bringing in somebody on that side?
Effing Falkirk player. Sorry. The right-hand side, I think, will be looked at in January. I've got apologies to the person who's put the comment up. I don't have a good enough knowledge. It's a Falkirk player would probably have to play particularly well coming into the Hibs team to sort of, given the way that they've built their full rivalry over time. But if Callum knows more, I'll let him come in.
On you go, Callum.
Adams was a player that Falkirk signed. I think it was like Cumbernauld Colts. He was linked to Rangers at the end of last season. From what I've kind of seen him, he's very good attacking. I think he performed well against their first game of the season against Dundee United. But there's kind of question marks kind of defensively around him. But he's came through like a different kind of route. I don't know. Somebody told me he was on the books at Hearts when he was younger. I'm not too sure about that, but he's went kind of sort of through the non-leagues. But I mean, he's a not bad player. He's still got kind of a lot of developing to do, and I don't know if that's the type of player you'd bring in as a backup when we've actually got Megwa, who's similar in terms of still kind of in that sort of stage of his development.
John?
Yeah, the Megwa one, sorry to interrupt. The Megwa one's a strange one because they've given him a 4-year contract and he's not getting a water kick.
Aye, but I mean, I suppose it goes back to what we were talking about. Like with the team has mostly been winning, so it's how does Megwa get in the team and who does he displace? And I suppose he's got another few years to prove himself.
Yeah,
John.
I mean, profile we're looking for as a right back is a right-sided Jordan Obita. I mean, we're probably looking for a player to come in who's 25 to 28. I mean, has played the position. I mean, is slightly better defensively than going forward. Because if you're looking for a complement to Cadden, because Cadden, when we get him into sort of the final third, I mean, as he showed on Saturday, can find players and can play heads up. It's that balance that we've lost in terms of that position, that we don't have that Obita. And I knew nothing about Obita before he arrived, but again, he's fitted in there really solid, gives us enough going forward, but can defend.
Right, when we talk about players taking an unusual route or signing players of an age profile, did any get to the youth team game last night?
No, that's right.
No,
I don't fit into the seats in the lower
in the West lower
because of the difference between. But my knees just get wrapped in the seats in the front, so I didn't go.
So 4-0 win. I suppose without going into the specifics of the game, then, because there was no, unless you've seen that the highlights package that Hibs put up, there was no other way to watch it unless you were there. Massive for the young.
McGregor spoke quite well about them. I mean, I saw Darren's sort of post match, and he was talking about attitude, being able to play on the pitch at Easter Road, representing Scotland in Europe. I mean, all these things that they discussed with the players, the way that they brought a game plan, the defensive side of the game, and having only seen what the game gives us, I mean, disappointed that Rudy came off injured.
Yeah.
But when you're hearing that from the sort of the manager of that team, I mean, the coach of that team, in terms of what's there in terms of attitude, what's there in terms of desire, you're not really surprised when you're getting a performance out of them. I mean, it feels like it was a tie that we should have been able to win because we're in the sort of effectively the qualifying rounds. I mean, we've not got Man City, we've not got Bayern Munich. I mean, it's one of those things where it forms a winnable tie, and they've done really well. I mean, that's what I took from it. And certainly the passing and the movement from the short highlights that are there. Yeah, they're pushing the ball around well.
And Joe, how important is it for like young players to get a taste of football at a stadium like Easter Road? With a decent crowd there, it was upwards of 1,000 Hibs fans in the ground last night.
It is very important, but as we've said already in this podcast in recent weeks, are they going to get a chance though? that's the trouble. I think Rudy's the only one of the youngsters that's had a chance, and even then that was short-lived, as we know. And that's what concerns me is today's modern game. It's the youngsters getting a chance. Farm them out to other, lower division clubs to give them more experience. But there hasn't seen anyone in recent seasons of the youngsters that broken through. And that I don't know what the solution is, Matty, but I'm just making that as a comment.
Yeah. John?
Dara mentioned that in his post-match. He was talking about sort of strength and fitness coaches and the work that's getting done through different players, and that actually the main difference that there is for the club is that the strength, fitness, whether it's speed over 10 yards or whatever metric they're looking at for that under-19 team, that's what's keeping them out the first team. It's that development. There's things where, your bones haven't properly developed. And your joints haven't properly developed till you're in your late teens. So having a 17-year-old coming in, their bones aren't properly connected together. They can't build the strength in terms of the body frame. So there's lots of things that will take longer. So he did talk about that, and that seems to be, if they're thinking about it, it's the bridge that nobody has, and they won't. A 19-year-old won't necessarily get that because you get them out to Bonnyrigg and playing in the Lowland League. As clearly a great player once did, but it's that side.
Can I dare to disagree ever so slightly? Chelsea in their 5-1 victory or whatever it was last night, 3 of the players that scored goals were all teenagers. If you're good enough, you're old enough, was the old saying it used to be. I saw Jimmy O'Rourke make his debut at 16 and
but there's an elite level in terms of players, in terms of development, in terms of their athletic side. It was just to say that I think that the club are thinking about it, but it's looking at a Rudy Molotnikov who was playing, and was he not in the last team that was in Europe as well?
Yeah.
You just look at the development for him in terms of the size of his frame, the strength, and everything that seems to be coming through. That he's a good example in terms of the players have got to look to say, well, Rudy's the one that's come through. He's the one that's challenged the first team. But look at the development that he's put in. How strong is he? How fast can he run? What's his stamina during the game? What's his distance that he's covering for his position? It's those sort of things that they've got to pick up on.
You know what, guys? We've got a really happy problem because we've got such a strong squad.
It's not the worst position to be in, is it? How about this one? So Green Tea said McGregor for the next Hibs manager. Not that I want Sir David Gray to go. Callum, would you be happy with that? So David Gray decides time to move on. Real Madrid come calling or whatever. He goes there. Is the natural successor waiting in the wings with Darren McGregor?
I don't know. You never ever know with regards to experience. Obviously, Gray had kind of 4 years as a first team coach, and I think that's helped massively. But one thing that McGregor's got in common with David Gray is that he's a natural like a leader. So I think you maybe wouldn't have to look kind of too far afield if Gray was to go on and conquer the Champions League right enough. But I think there's a few options there. I think if that was to ever happen, one of the first names I think it would get mentioned would be Scott Brown. I think that would come because he's done all right, I suppose, at here. But I wouldn't see any reason why not. And I think him and Boozy have been there for a while now. Boozy's obviously had some kind of first team experience out at like Hamilton and things like that as well. So they wouldn't be complete novices. Just on what kind of John and Joe were talking about as well. Like I know teenagers scored for Chelsea the other night, but you wouldn't tell by looking at them. And I think that's the difference. Where we've had guys like recently released like Josh O'Connor, Murray Aitken, and guys like that. Murray Aitken was performing really well when Airdrie were doing well, and they just don't have that kind of physicality. Josh found himself kind of out of Helgen and that now. He's not really kind of starting for them. So it was interesting because Paul Hanlon spoke at the last High B Buzz about going for the 18s, 19s, and then playing reserve football. And how that it was like such a buzz to get the phone call or get the message to say, by the way, you're going to be playing on Tuesday rather than Friday. I can't remember what days he mentioned, but I've long said that the loss of reserve football, because I'm sure in England they play like 21s even up to like 20. They've got like a 23 kind of pro league. So that's young men. Do you know what I mean? That's not even like teenagers. That's actually young men, and I think that's a big difference, and something needs to be done about it. For the whole of Scottish football, not just for Hibs.
I think there's obviously the financial aspect. Like I think clubs struggle to fund. Like Hibs could, I don't think Hibs could afford to have an under 21s and a 22s and a 23s team, or even 21s and a 23. I think they would struggle, and we're probably one of the better off clubs in the league. I think if you came when you get to like Livi and Falkirk and that, they've had the
Is that
chance to
called the
sort of compete.
development squad?
I mean, maybe the development squad has like a maximum age, but um, I just think it gets hard
People are
to.
thinking that it's more the idea that we've almost tried that and there wasn't a space in Scottish football for it.
Aye, I mean maybe because
Was it Steve? What's his name that was in to do it?
Steve Keane. Aye,
Yeah.
but then I think Hibs botched it. I think that the idea there was decent, but I think the execution of the idea was shocking. Like why they brought in the wrong players or the wrong folk running it, or they just didn't plan it out. And I think it coincided with teams getting into the Lowland League as well. So you had some clubs doing that, and then I think Hibs were scrambling around trying to get games for these players, and then they all ended up just getting punted out on loan. Right, Kieran says we need to win on Saturday to get his corner turned. Aberdeen are shocking. We should be licking our lips at the prospect of Aberdeen and Rangers within 4 days. And he says we got rid of the reserve league club because clubs couldn't afford it. Right, let's get back to the first team. Get back to the game on Sunday then. So Pataudry, a chance to get 3 points on the board. Jeff, you'd already sort of said they need to change the team. What are you saying to the players then? How are you setting us up, and what do you expect to happen?
Press from the start. Just go out there and play we did on Saturday. It doesn't matter the opposition. We play our game. Stifle their danger man. That is it. Carlson on the left plays left of the front three. He's about. Well, it might be the right of the front. I can't remember anyway. He's about the only one. Armstrong is still a good player, but just play our game. Get Clegy on the ball as much as we can. Him and Barry up front, they will score goals against that defence. I mean, pace. The one thing that defenders hate is pace, no matter what league you play in. So they'll either drop deep to try and negate Clegy's pace, which will give us, we can then push right up and push right on them. That plays into our hands as well. So yeah, just go for it. Do not be passive. Do not put the handbrake back on. Let's just go for it. And if we get beat going for it, it's disappointing, but if we lose a 1-0 like we did last year, where we just kind of seem to be content with a draw, then I'd be very disappointed. So I want to see us go for it. Keep your foot in the neck of the snake.
The same question to you, Callum.
I'm going to have to go.
I'm very much with Jeff. We have to kind of go for it. I think there's maybe an issue. Well, I say an issue. Martin Boyle always plays well against them. Obviously, Clegy performed very well last week. So do you drop Bowie and go for out and out pace? Or I think as much as Bowie never scored at the weekend, I think he played quite well. Occupies defenders, creates chances for others. The fact that he's just standing there gives defenders something to think about. Whereas Boyle and Clegy, I think they played together against Livingston in the Cup. So it's an option there. But I stick with the team that won on Saturday and actually go for it, because they're going to be fucking beyond fragile. And if we can go there and score early, I think we did. We beat them 3-1 there last season. We scored early and just capitalised in the second half. Then we can absolutely go and win well. Nice one.
I'll come back to you for a score prediction in a wee bit. But Joe, ask you the same. What would you like to see us do?
Well, I've already said it. Other than bringing in Chegwa for the loanee from Middlesbrough, whose name I keep forgetting.
Barlasser.
Yeah. Get him out. He's not a Hibs player when all's said and done. Bring in Chaiwa. Other than that, keep the same team. And I think Hibs will win quite comfortably.
Good stuff, John.
I think there's only the two slots that you would discuss. It is that sort of Barlasa Chaiwa, and it's whether it's Cadden or Abita on the left. Personally, I would probably stick with the team that started. I think it's one of those mentality things as a manager. You've got to sort of be there to reward players who perform for you. You've got to start getting that idea. It's not about rewarding, but it's that idea of showing that there's a consistency that you'll bring. So I don't think we drop by much by not doing that, and it's how we change the game. I think that Aberdeen seem to have tried to play a 4 at the back tonight. They played a 3 last weekend. We just have to go into it and play in our game. press them in their half, see if we can win the ball up there, but keep pressure on them. We just go for it.
Here's one for
A game like the Ibrox game. I mean,
uh-huh.
I accept Jeff's point about it was the same stats as earlier, the 2-0. But the game again at Ibrox, where we sort of seem to go with a whimper, we don't want that sort of performance. I mean, that's what we want to avoid.
What about Grant Hanley? So 3 games in 6 days, I think it is, or 3 games in 7 days. Can't quite remember what it is. Probably unlikely Hanley's going to play in all 3 of them. Aberdeen and Rangers are the 2 that he plays, and rest of them for Livi, you think?
I think he'll only play in one of the 2. He'll either play
Yeah.
against Aberdeen or he'll play against Rangers. I don't think I think it's the 2 games in 4 days that's the issue, rather than week apart. If the Livi game was a Wednesday night, he wouldn't be playing that one. He'd be playing the 2 weekend games. I expect that he will play Sunday, because he can then come in on Saturday, and it'll just be how his body recovers.
Could be, of course, now that he's had a bit of, a bit more football on him, that he's fine to play the 3 games as well. I think that sometimes there's more made up players' age than there needs to be. So
he only played the first game. He played the first game for Scotland, and will clearly been involved in the training. He's come back to us and played 1 game last weekend. He's going to have 8 days off. He'll have 8 days off. I would like to have thought he could play the 2 games, and if he was going to drop out one, it would be the Livingston game, simply because of how solid he's been. But again, I would want him to play the 2, the Aberdeen and the Rangers, but my head says he will only play 1, and he'll miss the Rangers game.
And Kieran says Barlasser's out of contract at the end of the year, so he could be a Hibs player next year if he does well. It's something to keep in mind as well for how we handle him. Okay, Callum, what's the score going to be Saturday?
I'll go 3-1 Hibs.
Nice one. And then on Wednesday against Rangers?
2-1 Hibs.
2-1. Thought we were going for a 3-2 there, but it's a 3-1 and 2-1. Joe, what's the score Sunday?
Sunday, Aberdeen 1, Hibs 5.
Beauty. Wednesday?
Wednesday, Hibs 1, Rangers 0.
Okay, John. Sunday?
I think Sunday will be a 2-0, and Wednesday will be a 3-2.
Yeah, let's go for it.
And I'll manage to the last home game before the cup final.
Okay, right. We will wrap up there. If you follow us on Twitter, you'll have seen us sharing links to our Redbubble store, 25% off there if you want to grab yourself a wee bargain before Christmas. And then we'll be back with our preview show tomorrow around about 4 o'clock. It'll be me, Colin, and John talking about the game on Sunday. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks very much for coming on, and we'll see you all next time.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers. Sorry, just stopping the stream. Trying to.